We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and opportunity to come together for the good of the community. We ask you to be with our mayor and the city council, give them clarity of insight, we pray, and determination of purpose. They lead the city forward, keep us in our care. Help us to stand behind it, we pray. We'll bless your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bob Brooks.
Yes.
Doreen Klaus.
Here.
Dustin Elder.
Here.
Chrissy McGehee.
Here.
Bobby White.
Here. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. I will second that.
Okay, Doreen has made a motion to approve the agenda as presented, and Bobby has seconded it. Can I get a vote?
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor? Sorry. Oh, I don't get a vote. 4-0. Okay, the minutes from last meeting. Do you guys need some time?
No, I'm good.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 10th.
I'll second that.
Okay, Chrissy's made a motion to approve the minutes from April 10th, and Bobby has seconded it. All in favor? 4-0. Okay, we have a business license request from John Stanton, and I don't see him in the audience today, so. Okay. Might circle back. We might circle back on that.
This fence isn't completed.
Okay, so old business then, we've got bills to pay and balances on hand.
And I didn't see all of that. Where's,
I'm sorry, that's what I was telling you earlier. I didn't have a chance to print those reports, and I will put those all in the next council.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we just
From
move on.
4:15 forward.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, cemetery discussion. Karen, did you want to talk about it?
Sure.
She said, oh, there it is.
Oh.
Go ahead. Okay.
oh, you might want to leave.
I talked with Lana this week, I think, wasn't it, Lana? And we talked about the mowing and the lack of funds and kind of brainstorming on how to get more funds. And I told her, well, let me back up a little bit. On the mowers, we got some new rear ends put on the mowers. We talked to the guy that used to have the grasshopper dealer in town here.
Rusty Brown? TJ?
Yes. And he told us that they have a narrowed rear end, so when you swing the mower around, you're less likely to hit the stones. He said they're perfect for cemeteries, so we put them on the mowers. Did you guys use our mowers when you mowed? Did you like those?
They said it wasn't different.
Were they different?
Oh, what was the
Okay.
cost? What was the cost on those?
Nothing.
He just changed them out for free?
Mhm.
Nice.
TJ is wonderful.
Yeah. And it was that weekend that it was Neosho's citywide sale, and so Ronnie and John were out there loading them in the pouring down rain and had to take them out there in the pouring down rain. It was fun. Anyway, he did that for us. We would like to keep the fields mowed, the two big fields. That would save the city guys time, so they wouldn't have to do that. If they'll mow the grave section and weed eat the grave section, the cemetery committee said, we'll keep the fields mowed. And I think, what does that take the fields themselves? 4 hours maybe?
Probably. Well, yeah. That's probably 3 or 4 hours.
So that saves a little bit of,
How many hours does it take to do around every headstone?
We,
I don't think we're getting the fair deal here.
Yeah,
it takes about probably 2 days
for sure.
with 2 guys,
To mow and weed eat.
just a weed.
Just the
just
weed
the
eating, yeah, that's a lot of weed eating.
We mow it in a day,
You
but
can mow.
we had 4 mowers out there.
The work study was it takes about 40 man hours to mow and weed.
Oh, wow.
every
and I talked to the little old couple that are the caretakers at Diamond, and the crew that they have mowing there, they weed eat half of it one time, and they weed eat the other half the next time. And they said, like Memorial Weekend, they'll have it all done where it all looks good. But they said it works good for them to do it that way, to weed eat half, and then the next time weed eat the other half, and that way it's not the whole, because it's a lot out there. It's about 9 acres, just the grave section. So anyway, there's that. And then the cemetery committee will keep the blades sharpened, of course, there are mowers, and change the oil, buy the oil, you know, keep them up, all the maintenance on them. But we just need to know too if there's a problem, if something needs fixed, we need to know if something needs fixed, because we're not on them all the time. And then we talked about how to get more funds. I didn't know, been marking graves out there for years, most cemeteries charge a marking fee. I had no clue. But most of them charge a marking fee. And I told Lana, if we charge that, that could go towards the cemetery, whatever that account is you have, that goes into where the tax money goes, and could go to that. And most of them charge $100. That'd be a whole lot of $100 for as many graves as I've marked out there over the years. And then we also have that tax that property owners pay every year. All you guys are property owners, you pay that cemetery tax every year. But I'm not a property owner. If I go buy a grave, I just buy a grave. I don't have to pay tax year after year after year. Several cemeteries have a perpetual fee that I told Lana, I said, we could charge a perpetual fee for people like me that don't pay that tax year after year after year, where I buy a grave and then I have to pay an extra fee one time, a one-time perpetual fee that takes care of that upkeep. I have a paper that I got from September of last year. Like Diamond charges a perpetual care fee of $300 when they buy a grave,
In addition to the.
in addition to the grave price.
So what is their lot price? Is it the same as ours?
No, they charge more. They charge $400 per grave. Burkhart Cemetery charges a $100 marking fee. Dice Cemetery charges $150 perpetual fee. And I tried to get another more current list, but I didn't get one. I asked early in the week and clerks didn't get one for me.
And what is a lot sale? How much for a lot? Or,
At our cemetery,
Yeah.
$300. But you pay that, I pay that, but you guys keep paying the tax year after year after year. And it would help if I bought the grave, if I had that.
so that is for
The-
non-residents that have to pay a perpetual fee. If they don't have a property in Granby, they will pay.
Right, but
a
that's
perpetual-
another thing we sat and discussed at our meeting. How do you do that? I said they would have to bring their property tax receipt and say, I own property. And then, I don't know how else to do that.
But then you have the person that passed away owns property, and they bought the fee, and they're not gonna pay perpetual because they have property in Granby. Yet their property's gonna pass on possibly to someone out of town. Who do you charge the fee to? I understand, I think it's a good
Yeah.
idea, but it's kind of a,
Well, it would be paid when they buy the lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
if they're a citizen though, they won't be paying it.
Oh, yeah.
And see, used to, they charged, when I first got on the cemetery committee, Granby citizens paid one price, non-citizens paid another price, but that's still not fair. Just because you're a citizen, you're not paying that cemetery tax unless you own property. When I first got on the committee, they told me it was a sales tax, so everybody was paying it. Well, it's not a sales tax, it's on property tax. So we're just trying to think of a way to generate more funds.
I appreciate you thinking out of the box. That's good.
I mean, it sounds.
So they would be, I think you would say you will be charged a perpetual tax unless you can provide real estate tax forms that prove that you actually did pay these taxes previously. If they can't come up with that, then they would be paying the perpetual.
And would it need to be the last year? Or, I paid it 40 years ago, here's my receipt
No,
from
it
40
has
years
to be
ago.
current, the current tax.
Well, an example, March, how many of the 5 people were actually Granby taxpayers? 1,
Oh, of our burials?
yeah,
I don't even remember who we buried.
yeah, I think, 1 that I know of. The others I'm not real sure about. 1 and 3 were out of town, but they could still own property in Granby. I'm trying to get my mind around how you would charge a perpetual fee for upkeep if the deceased person, for example,
See, those already had graves, because we didn't sell those
Right.
graves to
Right.
them, but this would just be when they bought a grave. Which we only sold 1 grave last year, in 2024, that was last year. We sold 1 grave.
So the other ones are already like spoken for, is that what you're
Mhm.
saying?
how do they do that with the perpetual fee over there on the upkeep? I mean, for example, okay, I'm a taxpayer, and I pass away, they buy a lot for me, yet then all my family move out of town, and is there gonna be a perpetual fee? They're not gonna be owning real estate in town to pay the tax. They're all gonna be out of the city, so therefore,
They don't have to pay it
they don't
anymore.
have to pay the tax.
Well, that's a one-time fee.
The perpetual, it's just
It's
a
just a
one-time
one-time-
fee when you buy the grave. It's
Yeah.
one time, you buy the grave for 300 or whatever, and
Right.
you pay this one-time fee, and then that's it.
And only the people that do not have a real estate
Mhm.
tax for Granby
Mhm.
would pay that.
Because I don't remember, it's been a while since I've paid the real estate tax in Granby, but it's not a lot per property, I don't think, that goes to the cemetery.
Is it, what percentage is it? Half cent or 8 cent? Lana?
I'm sorry, it's 8 cents per $100.
So it's probably just a $1 or $2 on your bill each year. So it would take a long time for taxpayer to make that 300 or whatever. But that's just us thinking.
Is there a way to charge a perpetual fee for everyone?
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Just wrap that up into the lot fee.
So everyone pays when
So
whether you
everyone
own
pays it.
property, and then if you don't, it's an additional charge, like
No, I'm just
$100 for a resident that owns property and $200 for one that does not?
I was just thinking a perpetual flat fee for everyone that even with your own property or not, like they said, it's maybe a couple bucks a year is all they're paying anyway. So I can hear you thinking, Bob. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking just raise the lot fee.
That's a good idea too.
Except that the city used to get all or a portion of the lot fees, and we no longer get any of that, so it does not benefit us as far as maintenance and upkeep.
Okay.
There's nothing to apply towards mowing for the city.
So the lot fee goes to the
It goes to the
cemetery fund,
trust.
To the trust and to Clark. Okay, so that wouldn't work either. Not
Well,
unless you guys want to.
Unless we raised it and the extra that we raised it went to that.
and that would be the reason why you split it, not just say raise a lot fee. If you made it $300 for the lot, $300 perpetual use, or $200
Right.
perpetual use, then the perpetual use money would go to the city.
To the city for
Right.
the upkeep.
For upkeep.
Yeah, we talked about everybody having that perpetual, and then some of our committee members said, but that's not fair to the ones paying the tax. So
Huh.
so that's why I'm
Right.
asking you guys what. But then next time the tax comes up, will it pass? You don't know.
We don't know, yeah. It
And
might
so the
not.
marking fee, who gets that?
That would go to you guys, to the city. Or whatever kind of fees we could come up with, that would go to you guys.
Oh, the residents think we come up with all kinds of fees already.
Well, I think the marking fee is a good idea. I really do, because that, you know what a headache, we've talked about it before, what a headache it's been trying to.
Well, there were 5 funerals
Yes.
in March, that's $500 right there. If
Right.
there's $100 a marking fee.
Marking fee. And it takes time to do it.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a long time, because you have to find those pins that aren't there anymore.
Is there more discussion on it? I mean, do we wanna discuss and push this to another date, or do you guys wanna?
Mowing's here.
We needed to do something about the mowing, because
Yeah, we
we're only
haven't.
starting to do that. But then again, it's kind of, I hate to jump on board and say, yes, let's charge a marking fee and a perpetual fee without really thinking about it too.
But is that really gonna help us at this point?
Right.
It's not gonna help for this year.
No, it's not gonna help the mowing for this year.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna help the mowing for,
Any year.
I don't think we're gonna make enough off of that to offset the cost of the mowing, you know what I mean? We're talking, what'd you say, 3 days, basically?
40 man hours.
Yeah.
So, I've done some quick math. This is where we are today on income and expense. This column, so the column on the left, the column on the right is last year's. Here's one for you here.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, we show that, our net income is 8,500. That large number there that says miscellaneous, I'm sorry, burial and interment, 9,250. $8,100 of that was paid out for the actual, grave digging. So the city retains $100 for the grave digging, the rest of it goes to contract labor.
So then
40
50
man hours at $16 an hour is $640 times 20 weeks. I've allowed a little leeway in there, but that's this week through mid-August, hoping that the grass slows down. I've allowed a few weeks for weather. That's $12,800.
Could you start those numbers again?
40 hours a week times $16 an hour. So it's 40 man hours times
Yep.
$16 an hour is just a rough average of wages for the boys and the
And that's weekly,
That's weekly.
1 week.
Until mid-August. And it's actually 23 weeks through mid-August, but I left a few weeks off just for rain or the grass slows down, because we're having a drought or something.
Right.
That's $12,800. If it takes 36 man hours, because they're mowing the big fields, that's 11,520. I'll give you back my numbers, because I didn't write those down anywhere, it's up there.
11,000 how much?
520. So that still puts us over $3,000 in the whole end of the year, which is what happened the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that on your list. So absolutely our cemetery funds need to go to help maintain the cemetery, but the city ending up in the hole and having to just do that year after year takes away from our PD, for fire department, for parks. And so if we could come up with just a way to make up that difference. I think that's the solution, because it's not that I don't want the city to do our part, but according to the ordinance, we're not responsible for it. According to the ordinance, the city is responsible for it, or delegating it to someone. So, that's just, I just wanted to say that.
You said the city again, so you mean the committee? Okay.
It says, the care, maintenance, management, beautification shall be delegated to the cemetery committee as set forth herein, and only to such
And that's one of those deals where the Hancock Amendment is hamstringing us, right?
That's accurate. I think at one time there probably was enough money for the city to cover that.
Ye-
And then the cemetery committee was also assisting with sale of lots, with donations. They were handing those over to the city. So those funds have been cut 4 different ways. It used to be 10% of sales tax. When I first started here, the auditor said, no, you can't do that. And so that was cut. And then the Hancock Amendment has reduced the real estate tax income. And then we don't have sale of lot fees and we don't have donations. So it's just cut our income repeatedly over the past 10 years. And we no longer have the funds to continue to do it without ending up in the hole and hitting the general fund.
50 years ago, the cemetery had a groundskeeper. Lloyd Lovey was the caretaker of the cemetery. He didn't work for the city, he worked for the cemetery. And he took care of the mowing and all of that.
And this was when the trust was set up? When the trust was set up?
Yeah,
Okay.
they still had it, Lloyd took care of all of the mowing.
And the trust paid him.
Somehow the cemetery was, they he was paid, yeah.
Do you have records on that, Karen?
This is before they had weed eaters. My brother, when he was 10 years old, he pushed over around the stones out there.
And I mean, it's gonna, when you guys did contract the mowing a 2-3 years ago, it was 20 grand or more, right? I mean, it's a bunch.
Yeah.
Like 17 something.
What is Diamond paying their mowing company?
They didn't tell me. I talked to the couple. They have a guy that mows, that has mowed for them for years. And they just said that he does a good job, and it's a man and 2 sons, I think they said.
So I mean, maybe if we do add $100 for a marking fee and then do a perpetual use fee, this is just me talking, all right? So, if we did all of that and then allowed the cemetery to keep the money, and then when we do our mowing and stuff down there, we do it up to the amount that we get in from the tax, and then we bill the cemetery committee for the difference. And then they pay the city back. I mean, that's only gonna be $3,000 on a good year. And they could make that up with the, whatever you were talking about, $500 in a month, and then plus so that would be, I mean, if you charge the $200 or $300 perpetual use fee for each one of those, then, I mean, that's $400 extra for each person, right? I mean, you could easily probably make up the $3,000. I mean, am I adding it up right?
Oh, in the past, the most cost effective we've had out here is when we contracted with cemetery mowers and paid, you contracted it for X amount of dollars per mowing, because, if it's raining, if it rains all week long, you're not gonna mow that week. We don't pay, like that last contractor, he was paid every week, so much every week. So contractor where it's paid per mowing, and then, if it's really dry, you're not paying somebody to set it home on that. That's how they used to do it, but I think Clyde was the last one that done that.
The only way,
Use the city, because we got $30,000 worth of mowers sitting out there. We paid a guy $20,000 for the mowers to set in the garage.
And do a terrible job.
What about interest income here? I know that interest income is not considered part of the trust. Is that money that you guys could put? And I realize that interest fluctuates. But are you drawing enough interest on your CDs from the trust that you could assist with mowing there?
I wish Sharon was here because she knows all that.
My thoughts are, I'd like to find someone to mow it, someone other than our city employees, because there's so many other things that needs to be done in the
Too much
city.
time.
Yes, it takes so much time away from other duties, that if we could contract someone to use the city mowers, the city's got weed, or not the city, but you've got weed eaters, right, too? Someone to use your equipment out there, and then just pay for the gas and their hours, that would free up 40 hours a week for our city employees to be doing other things. And that way, we could also share the cost, because there's just no way we can keep doing it, the city can. I know last year, it was just, it was, it was miserable.
So how do we find this?
Is there anyone on your
this
committee
this uniform?
that would voluntarily mow?
You're in a committee, how many people volunteer?
You and me.
1, 2.
You guys gonna mow the parks?
I would.
We would.
I actually have weed eated the ballpark, so, yeah, actually.
Yeah, I used to mow the ballparks too.
Yeah, I would do it. If they say they need it done, I'll do it. If it saves us a penny.
I'm just saying, the ordinance states that the beautification, the maintenance, the upkeep is on the cemetery committee. The way I read that is the money that the city brings in on taxes is money that should be turned over to the cemetery.
We can't use tax money though.
That's why we have the
But
money.
we can
so-
pay the person.
But we can pay the person that they
That's
hire
doing
to
them.
do it, so.
We
in
pay them until
essence-
our money's gone, and then
And then
cemetery
you're
committee pays them
responsible
the
for
rest, which is kind of what
And
I
I
was
would
bringing up.
help too, just saying, I would help out there, and I would make Jared help too.
I mean, the problem is gonna be finding this person, because it, like I said, they bring a whole team of people down there, and it still takes a couple of days. So, I mean, whoever we get is gonna be down there mowing and weed eating every day, all day.
They would have to have a crew.
Is there anyone that would need community service that our judge assigns community service to?
Just remember, then we don't get money.
And them ain't the guys you want mowing around graves.
You can't put them on power equipment.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Have hour meters on it, you can keep track of how many hours it's used per mower. This time span.
Check it up.
So we just need to find somebody that'll mow,
Do that.
contract somebody to mow.
Yeah, with the full knowledge that when this money runs out, then the cemetery would have to pitch in the rest, correct?
Well, but we're gonna have to, I mean, if you guys are agreeing with the marking fee and the perpetual use fee, then we would need a motion to add that to the ordinance. And then that money would go to the cemetery if that's what we're talking about doing.
To the cemetery or to our pot of money to pay for that?
Well,
And it-
either way,
Yes.
it goes to the same.
Yeah, either way it goes. And
It could work either way.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to pay after the
Or
tax
would
money's
you
gone.
rather it just go to the
But when the
city or
money
go to you guys?
comes in, does it come into you or does it come into City Hall?
It'll probably go through this funeral home, which will come to you guys.
Okay.
Funeral home writes us a check for burial, so
So would it be just cleaner for you to keep that in an account?
in the cemetery fund
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for that.
But are we back to everybody pays the perpetual fee
Well,
or just the,
Everybody.
I mean, it sounds to me like like you guys' fees, the lot fees and stuff are pretty reasonable compared to our surrounding
Mhm.
areas.
Mhm.
Is that legit?
yeah.
So what's your recommendation on the perpetual use fee? Based on what you heard from other people, I mean, what do you think we ought to set it at?
If everybody has to pay, correct?
Right.
Yes.
I wrote that down somewhere.
Do you think that, then you don't have to,
Well, Sharon on our committee works at Clark's
you
as
won't after
well.
you die. so you
And
won't
she
have
said
to-
that
Yeah, that's what I'm-
marking fee is usually 100 and the perpetual fee is usually 300.
So that would, if we left our lot fees the same, it would raise basically a lot fee to $700.
That's what they'd have to pay, yeah.
basically, for a lot.
That's a lot.
Because our lot fee's
Yeah, but- and-
300.
Yeah, and we would split out that money.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just talking about the round figure for if we did that with the.
But
pe-
now-
300 is already set for a lot fee.
Exactly.
So we need to worry about the perpetual
Just the-
fee and
and
the
she's
marking
saying-
Yeah, but we're
fees.
just looking at a total amount
with
for
you.
people. You wanna take that into consideration. It's already expensive when your family member passes away,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
so we don't wanna, you know.
So, but at Diamond right now, even if they're a taxpayer, right, you said the taxpayers don't have to pay the perpetual use fee in Diamond?
They
is
told
that-
me they didn't get tax money in Diamond. Said the grave spaces were $400, and they paid one-time perpetual fee of $300. So one space was $700, but if they bought 2 spaces, they only charged them $1,100. Okay, so how's that math work?
Well, probably because there'd be.
So they
one-
just
one
charge the
headstone.
perpetual fee one time. So when they bought 2 graves, they only charged that perpetual fee one time instead of for each grave.
But the marking fee, it sounds like what you're talking about is gonna be more consistent than the sale of the lots with the perpetual fee, because you don't sell that many lots. You're marking out there every time there's a funeral.
Or marking for a stone, or,
Right.
yeah, every time there's a funeral, there's, well, in March 5, did you say?
Yes.
So that'd been $500 right there.
I mean, I guess the danger, and just playing devil's advocate, the danger is nobody comes to get buried in Grammy anymore. And I don't, but I don't know if that's.
Well, they're paying 700 in
Right,
Diamond.
they're paying 700 in Diamond. Yeah, see, they're paying 700 in Diamond.
There's a lot of them go to Boulder City because it was way cheaper.
That's where my
That's because
family's,
it's free.
Yeah.
No, it's not. You still have to pay for, the grave marking and, the grave dig.
Well, yeah, for that, but for the grave itself, you don't have to pay.
Correct.
The lot, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not full, so they do.
so they'll be coming over here. Should we put a sign out there? Full here, try Grammy.
So so that's the recommendation then, 300, 300, and 100?
Well, the 300 is already set, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
see.
basically,
Okay.
just a
Three.
perpetual fee of, for upkeep for
So
300 and marking.
does anybody else on the council have questions for? Okay, I would entertain a motion to add a rule to the cemetery board ordinance to add a $300 perpetual use fee and a $100 marking fee to the fees for graves.
I move that we approve what Dusty just said.
Did I ask for a motion, or did I make a motion?
You made
You
your
made
own motion.
you made your own motion.
I made my motions. I would entertain a motion to do that stuff.
I move
Hey,
that.
I'm new.
Go ahead.
Your turn.
No.
It's your turn.
I move that we add to the cost of the cemetery fees to a $100 marking fee and a one-time
you wouldn't stop.
perpetual fee, upkeep fee of $300 to go to the city,
Correct.
to go to the city.
I'll second that motion, Bobby.
It was rather rambling, but thank you.
Okay, Bobby has made a motion to add $300 perpetual use fee and a $100 marking fee to graves in the cemetery. And Doreen has seconded that motion. All those in favor? 4-0.
And I've got one more thing I'd like to mention. I had a phone call this week, the cremation houses, because you know what they are because your mother-in-law has one. They're the little houses that stand up so big and they can put the urns inside those houses. I had a man call me and he said, your ordinance says that 2 cremations can be buried on a single grave. I said, yes. He said, so if you have one of those cremation houses with the 2 people in them, you can still put 2 people in the grave, right? And I said, no, because they're in the cremation house. They're not buried. The ordinance says buried, so I don't know if that needs to be
Change to intern.
changed.
Is intern the right word?
I think that would be correct.
Interred, maybe. Because that would put 4 people on a grave. You know, your
interred?
whole family can go to one grave that way.
People be stacking them up.
He said, that just leaves the whole grave empty. Well, that's your choice.
Right. I think it does need to be changed myself.
Mama,
Changing that ordinance, if you want to change the verbiage,
Yeah.
the board wants to pass a vote to change that language to interred as opposed to.
But we're still gonna allow two urns
Yeah.
per site?
Yeah, we've always done 2. We can do 2.
Okay.
do they have 2 lots purchased there?
No, they just have one.
But
and
they're
that-
allowed to
That
do-
cremation house fits on the one just fine, and they put the 2 urns in it, which it saves people money, and I understand.
Sure.
That's the
But
reason.
he said, if they're not buried.
So,
I could put 20 cremations on one grave lot.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to change the language on the cemetery board ordinance,
Keep going.
recognizing, what, I'm not supposed to?
just say motion.
Just entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjust the verbiage on the internment for versus burial on the plots within our city cemetery.
I'll second.
Okay, Dorian's made a motion that we change the verbiage on the rules on the cemetery lots to say 2 per interment. And Bobby seconded
I
that.
seconded.
All in favor?
Did you get that,
4-0.
Deb?
So professional.
Did you get it all, Deb? Making Deb work.
Deb is loving this.
She came in late today, so she's gonna write.
I got it. Yeah. It was a memorable discussion, so.
Karen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. And if we want to circle back to John,
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hi there.
and you've been here once before, and we talked about the fence, and I think most of us have seen that you're building the fence.
Right.
Is it completed or almost?
It's
or-
completed, I'm just waiting for the doors to come in.
Right.
So,
It's a heck of a fence, too.
a little expensive, but
Did you put the posts in
yes.
by hand?
No, I actually rented a machine from Joplin.
Okay.
And I would suggest getting one that you walk behind, not the 2-man one, because when you hit a rock, it just kind of throws 2 people around.
Counsel, did you have any questions for Mr. Stanton?
Yes, I have a question. Are you going to move the green van into the fence?
Yeah, the green van's gonna, well, no, not in the green van runs.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is it tagged?
It is not tagged.
Mhm.
Hasn't been tagged in, I think Joyce Mann owned it last, and Norbert, and I want to say probably 2005 maybe, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
So probably about 20 years. It just got, after her death this year, the lawyer finally got us the paperwork to where it's actually in mine and Mary Ann's name now, so I need to go down and get it tagged.
Okay. Yeah, if it doesn't get tagged, then it could receive a summons, so.
Yeah.
What's the name of your business going to be?
Lugnuts Auto Repair.
Okay. Do you already have all your other business licenses for the state through this?
Everything's done federal, state, yes.
I know last time you told us that you were gonna do a lot of work for. What was the name of the company?
It's called Carmart. I actually
Carmart.
used to work for Carmart
Uh-huh.
as just about everything, just worked my way up, right down to their service manager, to general managers, Carthage. And I've got already on board waiting, but Chris and Neo Show, Jason and Joplin, and Mason in Carthage. So, and they actually have a budget of 1.2 million a year for auto repairs, so that shop's only gonna probably be there 6 months to a year. There used to be behind it I think it was called a chicken barn or something, Bob, you may know. But that's all gonna get taken out, and there's gonna be a 4-bay shop put in there, and then we're gonna tear down the regular garage.
In how much time?
About a year,
So you're expanding already?
yes. Yeah, they were, just to cover Carmart is a lot of vehicles.
So how many vehicles do you plan to have on lot?
Probably 3 to 4 at a time. As soon as they're done, they have drivers that come get them, take them right back to their store.
And you can have them done within 3 to 4 days?
Usually a day, usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And will you be taking other business from like
Yes.
residents of Granby?
Yes.
And that's general,
General auto
General
repair,
auto.
yeah.
Tires,
Yeah.
oil change?
We're gonna do oil changes, we're not gonna mess with tires.
Okay.
Motors and transmissions.
Motors, transmissions, you've already got 2 guys.
Electrical?
Electrical, it is a pain, but yes.
Well, I do know motors and transmissions, sometimes the vehicle is set for quite a while.
Well, what Carmart does on that, unless it's somebody around here or something, they don't send the car to the shop until the motor gets there.
Okay, perfect.
And you'll be purchasing the motors to, or they'll be purchasing them?
Carmart orders the motors and ships them, yes.
And you have a contract with Carmart?
I just turned in the paperwork yesterday to get on. I wouldn't say it's a contract. You turn in a W-9 and just make up an invoice form so they can get you in their system. And then any Carmart in the United States can use you, basically. So, say somebody's driving through Granby and their transmission blows, but they bought their car in Iowa or something. Technically, I could get it in the shop and I could
Get it
build
back
an
on the
Iowa
road.
store for it.
but right now you got a handshake agreement with local Carmarts you said you work for Carmart,
Yes,
so,
yes,
so you know that they're gonna use you.
yes.
And do you do the work personally, or do you hire someone?
Right now, there's me, Keith, and Matt, and there's another guy, Schrader's over in Carthage, just stopped doing auto work. They're doing towing again only. So their head mechanic, I'm looking at hiring him too.
I move that we approve a business license for John Stanton under the company name Lundnuts Auto Repair.
Okay, we've had a motion to approve John Stanton's business license for Lugnuts Auto Repair by Bobby. Do I have a second?
Second.
Christie has second in that motion. All those in favor? 3-1. Motion passes.
Did he oppose?
You did.
I did.
You did.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
He can pick that up.
Pick that up tomorrow in City Hall from Sandra, we'll let her know.
Good luck to you. Okay, ARPA update?
The current balance is just a little over $32,000. We are waiting to hear from Rural Development if they're going to make the final payment on the SCADA system, which is $25,000. If RD agrees to pay that, then we have the full $32,000 to spend. If they do not, then we will have $7,800 to spend. 3,800 of that is interest income, and then the balance was just unspent, that was obligated and they didn't need it, so. We have to spend that money within the designated areas still. So parks or sewer are two options. One of the items on the agenda is the windows at the gymnasium that Bobby brought up that needs to be talked about. Doreen had asked about mulch at Dick Smith Park, so that's an option. We talked about previously an obligated funds for basketball nets, Christmas lights, ballpark updates, or finishing the Frisbee golf. We had purchased the equipment for Frisbee golf, but that equipment is just still boxed up. It's not placed, there's been no course mapped or anything like that.
And we have somebody that will map that course for us as a courtesy from the
Okay.
Neosho group.
Okay.
But we were waiting for them to do the reclamation, right? That's why we hadn't done anything. Oh, done it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wondered why that had stalled, other than I thought installation
Sure.
was an issue.
Are they not doing it?
We never picked up any equipment, the next one.
I thought we canceled the order.
The order was canceled.
I thought we had picked up the Frisbee golf stuff and it was.
No, we canceled it.
One of the,
It was right when we found out there was an error in,
yeah.
Okay.
So do we have some and not all, or?
We don't have any. No,
None.
we don't have any.
I thought I apologize. I thought we had made a trip over there and picked that up.
so do you have that amount taken out of the ARPA funds?
That may very well be what that $3,900 difference is, because it was unspent money from obligated funds. And I'll go back and look at that and
Okay.
confirm. And we
So-
don't have to
Do we
make,
wanna
And
pursue
I asked earlier, we should know in the next week whether or not
Yes.
they're gonna pay that $25,000 for the SCADA system. So within a week, we'll know if it's gonna be 78 or 32.
32. I emailed Cody with Rural Development earlier today just to touch base with him because we were waiting to find something out. And he said that he is working his way up the chain to try to make that happen. There was kind of a stall because the SCADA system was not part of the original plan for the upgrade out the wastewater treatment plant, so that's why we don't already know. There were some issues with the bidding process and the purchase of that. That's why it was stalled. So, and this money does not have to be spent until December of 2026, but the 7,800 is available right now. And like I said, Doreen had asked about mulch at Dick Smith Park, so I wanted to make sure that, you know, if that was an option, if the board decided to do that, before Old Mining Town Days would probably be a great time, since that's kind of what they're working on at the ballpark right now, the mulch and the pipe.
Well, we're gonna have to really do something with those windows before long. Did you look at them? Have you had a chance to look at them, gymnasium windows? They're
Well, the
some-
problem with it is.
Is it the framing or the
The
window?
frame,
It's,
the framing
the
itself.
roof is leaking, so you're gonna put in new windows and it's gonna,
Yeah, I think the windows are all new.
The windows,
Right, it's
that's
just
the
the framing.
frames
yeah,
itself,
'cause it's like,
that's bad.
So where is the roof
the
leaking?
roof isn't bad. Well, there's an, you can see out. You can see outside if you're,
Through the roof.
yeah,
On the stage you can.
yes.
Well,
mean,
the
there's-
other end
there's
above, the south end.
Several
yeah.
issues in that roof, and so I just feel like any work we put into it, we'd have to start there with that.
That might be where your $32,000 has to be spent then.
That could
I mean, honestly, because that's gonna be an enormous expense, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a big roof.
How old are those windows?
I don't remember when they got.
I don't know, we'll talk about it later.
When I was gone.
And I don't need a vote from the council.
Yeah,
Like, our
I think-
reports are all submitted. This is just information.
I think this is because some people had questions on it, and right now we don't know exactly how much we're gonna have. So probably table this until we get the information on how much we're gonna get from the SCADA system reimbursement. Okay, so the next item is this discussion regarding the maintenance position.
Several months ago, the board had asked me to develop a job description for facility and grounds maintenance. We were looking at this earlier this week, and it was suggested we might need to make some changes to that, just line item type stuff. I have submitted an ad to be published for a full-time maintenance position. We did not get any applications for the part-time. I got 2 applications, but they both wanted full-time, not part-time. I'm looking at the numbers. That's something that for maintenance and janitorial facility maintenance, that's something that all of the departments can help pay for. So the burden isn't on any one fund. All of the departments would be able to use this individual. So, and then when they weren't busy with one, I would think that assisting Jim with mowing, weed eating, that sort of thing would be high on their list of.
You said you already posted it though, right?
Yeah, I posted it to be published for 1 month as well as the other position, and I put both of those notices there in front of you as well.
And who does this person report to?
That actually was a discussion that was held as well, whether they would report to me or to Jim. My preference is that in the mornings when they come in, unless there's a previously scheduled stuff, that they report to City Hall in the mornings. Unless there's something specific going on that Jim would need, and then they would report to Jim. But those are discussions that, would be held regularly.
Yeah, I would think that's something that you guys work out, similar to Lance and how you and Victor work around Lance. So, because there would be a lot of duties that, for the community building, for here, that the person would have to do.
And I did include that in the ad that's to be published also, that they would have to have the ability to mow and weed eat in extreme heat or remove snow in extreme cold, working at heights so they can help with Christmas light placement and removal. And
Did you put a lift,
Yeah.
lift so much requirement on that?
yes, 50 pounds. Do your guys have to lift more than 50 pounds regularly?
Yeah.
And our file boxes, some of them get pretty heavy too, so. And I'm not sure I need a vote on this. This may just be an FYI unless you have input as far as the job description goes.
The council voted to approve the position earlier. We're just wanting to add more hours to the position, so I don't know that it requires a vote, but
Let's get it.
definitely to let you guys know,
Please do it.
definitely let you guys know what's up.
It just needs to be done. There's so much going on that we need somebody to do. And I hate seeing city properties get run down.
Yeah. Get it hired.
Any more questions? Bob?
No.
Bobby? Okay, so we'll move on to, Doreen? Any more questions?
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll move on to new business then. Missouri DNR resolution. Did you want to talk about that? Does this require a vote?
Yeah, I'll need to read it and then.
Okay.
Resolution of governing body of applicant. Resolution number, and I will create that resolution number as today's date, so 04/24/25. A resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources State Revolving Fund Program for loans under the Missouri Safe Drinking Water Law, Section 640 RSMO. Whereas under the terms of the Missouri Safe Drinking Water Law, Section 640, Revised Statutes of Missouri, the state of Missouri has authorized the making of loans and/or grants to authorized applicants to aid in the construction of specific public projects. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Granby that Dustin Elder be, and he is hereby authorized to execute and file an application on behalf of the City of Granby with the state of Missouri for a loan and/or grant to aid in the construction of a drinking water system. That Dustin Elder, Mayor, be, and he is hereby authorized and directed to furnish such information as the Missouri Department of Natural Resources may reasonably request in connection with the application, which is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the applicant, to furnish such assurances to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources as may be required by law or regulation, and to receive payment on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, I would entertain a motion. Or do I need a motion?
I move to accept this resolution on the first reading, suspend the rules, and place this resolution on the second and final reading by title and number only.
Okay, Dorian's made a motion to
Accept the resolution.
accept the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second. Either one.
You can do
Christie
Bobby.
seconded the motion. All those in favor? No. Motion passes 4-0.
I'll need to read that last title, resolution authorizing the filing of an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources State Revolving Fund Program for loans under the Missouri Safe Drinking Water Law, Section 640 RSMO.
Okay, so now all those in favor?
No.
Or do we have to read it
You
again?
gotta do this.
It's you, Christie.
I make a motion to accept the resolution on the second and final reading by number and title only.
I'll second it.
Okay, Christie's made a motion to accept the resolution on the second reading by number and title only. It's been seconded by Bobby. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, so hopefully all of you guys got to read through the building codes. So the Building Code Committee has been meeting for the last several months, and we looked at building codes and for many of the surrounding cities, probably 5 different cities when we were looking at these. And basically what was decided, and what most other cities do as well, is the basic building codes, the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical codes. They take the international building code for the building code, and then the electrical code is the national electric code. So they take whatever exists and they make it their own. And there's verbiage within those codes, within those documents for cities to do that. The only thing that all the cities do as well is make amendments, and they list the amendments. And the amendments are basically things that the Building Code Committee has deemed that they want to add extra or enhancements to the building code. So if you guys read all the amendments, then I think we've already decided that the fence regulations is probably going to be pulled for a later date, because there was several people that had concerns with
Beef.
a couple of the things, but really the the tiny home permit requirements is ready. There are a few others that will be ready here in the next couple of weeks, but they can be added on as separate ordinances as we go. The meat of this, the meat of what we need, or what I believe we need to pass and put to implement, is the contractor license application process and the building permit application process. And these establish a process here in the city of Granby that's quite a bit more detailed than what exists now. It gives examples of exactly how they need to provide their site plans. It gives detailed guidance on how to fill it out and what they need to do to get the permit. It provides an actual building permit that they have to post on the job site. Also a permit fee schedule that they have to pay all of the permit fees prior to the permit being issued, whether it be the actual owner or the contractor that is actually doing the work for or the builder. The contractor license application standardizes across the city the requirements for contractors to be bonded and insured, to have certifications in whatever area that their specialty is, and they have to provide that to the city and get a contractor license by the city, issued by the city of Granby, that they have to keep on their person if they're working on a job site here in the city of Granby. The intent tonight would be to go ahead and put into operation and implement the contractor license permit and the contractor license application and the building permit application, so that we can go ahead and let people start applying through the process. The rest of all of this will go to the city attorney tomorrow, if everybody says this is good, and be put into ordinance for the council to vote on officially, hopefully at the next meeting.
Now, will homeowners have to be licensed and insured?
No, the contractor application allows for
If they're doing the work?
yes, general liability exemption for builder's risk. They can do a builder's risk and sign off on builder's
Okay,
risk. So you can build your own home, but then that's on you.
You still have to have a permit.
Yes, you have to have a building permit, that's correct. So
okay.
anybody that
Very
builds
good.
anything in the city should have to have,
Okay.
will have to have a permit. But a contractor that's doing contract work, and this is, you know, the the committee consists of, you know, the two major builders that we have that build homes in Granby. Consists of the guy around here that does most of the concrete work, so and building inspector that the city of Granby is going to hire to come in and do all of the required inspections that we put on this. So there's people with a lot of skin in the game that are the ones going to have to pay the extra money and go through the extra effort to go through it, that have spent a lot of time developing these, and they've done a great job on going through all that stuff and coming up with what would be best for Granby. And what they all say, builders, contractors, all the people on the committee, is that cities need this kind of regulation, because most builders and people that come into cities to build housing additions or more houses will not even touch a city that doesn't have ordinances and codes on file because of possible repercussions if anything happens. So, I mean, I think this does nothing but help us.
So, where did the amount for the license fees come from?
Other things.
There's no, the license
Is that
fees were just, well, they're pretty standard, and everybody agreed that making it not so restrictive that people couldn't.
Then my question is going to be, what about, it says for businesses located outside the city limits? that doesn't mean they can come here and apply for a permit and then they're within the city limits. Their business has to be housed within Granby? Is that what that difference is?
Right. So for a business like, someone that's got their business is in Neosho and they are
They'll pay the
yeah, they're like,
$50.
they'll pay the larger amount. And
So
that's
each
pretty,
contractor
yeah,
has
there's,
to have their own.
each contractor, right, electrical, plumbing, each contractor, because we want to make sure that everybody that's working on stuff, what the committee want to avoid is the fly-by-night back of the pickup truck
Roofing
I know.
companies,
coming
framing
in
companies, gotcha.
that does a bad job, that's unsafe, and maybe hurt somebody, and we don't want liability for that.
I'd make a motion that we approve the contract license application as well as the residential building permit application.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Doreen's made a motion that we approve the contractor license application and building permit application and implement those processes effective tonight, and then we will send, and Bob has seconded that, and then we'll send all this to the attorney tomorrow. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
And now, once those come back from the attorney, we can discuss anything that he might have wanted to add and or remove from these codes?
Yes, that's correct. And, you know, if he finds something that's against the law, obviously, and we're also going to ask him about, it's on his end that he would put in there, what are consequences for failure to abide by, you know, the codes? You know, what is,
Tearing your house down.
what can you,
Consequences.
yeah,
for
what are the consequences legally?
And the tiny home proposal, I thought we had other discussions about this and that they were to be built on site versus being brought in.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are built, and we talked all about that, but if you read the stuff about, as long as it has the footings, the foundations, I mean, it's no different than just Ellie and,
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We're making a big deal for the age of their mobile homes that they're bringing in versus,
so you're saying there should be a time requirement on it?
well, I don't want somebody to pull out Granny's old shack off somebody's lot somewhere and drag it in. I mean,
No, I get it. I mean, and I put the note in there about sheds, so
Sure,
there
yeah.
can't be, and they are gonna have to come here and say, this is what I wanna do, and we can always not approve it.
because somebody, I mean, it's happened. People drug those sheds in, put them in their backyard, and they're sitting there as a storage shed, but then people move in and live there,
Absolutely.
so.
What we want
what
is
are
the tiny homes that we're wanting to come in, and we put the requirements in there, need to be, I mean, livable, with insulated walls, with insulated ceilings, with
Plumbing.
everything done, plumbing, electrical, ready to hook up to city utilities, which they would be required to. And it has, the biggest deal there is it also has to sit on a 2,000 square foot lot, which prevents someone from coming in and just building them right on top of each other like in a doghouse row.
And they do have to be anchored to a foundation.
And they do have to be
footing of some
anchored
kind.
to the foundation with cable or the big screws that they anchor them into now.
And with the asterisk down here, it says an unfinished shed with no insulation or utility sewer hookups will not be considered a tiny home. So they're gonna have
Right.
to be,
But if they bring it in, I'm devil's advocate here, they bring this shed in and it sits there for a couple of years and then they're like, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out. How does that work?
That would be something that the abatement officer would,
Or
It's-
they'd have to go through the
yeah.
building codes and make sure it comes up to standard?
correct. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're gonna change it into a living facility, that would be something they would need to come here for.
and it is a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Right.
Because, I mean, people are selling them left and right
Yeah.
on Marketplace, saying, I've got it finished
Absolutely.
out and this is what
But,
I've got.
I mean,
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I
I get-
just want to make sure that we are all,
Yeah, and all of
Following the
the,
same
that's what the
guidelines.
building permit application process, the instructions, it specifically states that, you know, everybody who has something that they want to build or bring in has to come before the board or the council. So, I mean, we're going to be able to shoot them with questions based on this and make sure that we want it in the city. I love it that you guys want to ask questions and all that stuff. That's great.
Well, and one of the things in it, one of the stipulations is it must be complete before they transport it in. It already needs to be set up with the sewer hookups, the water hookups, the insulation. It has to actually be
So
a
basically,
home that
what-
they bring
yeah,
in
what
set
we-
on a
What we want it
foundation.
to do is they sit it on the foundation and it's ready for inspection, the first inspection. So the building inspector would be called and he has to inspect all the insulation, the plumbing, all that stuff before, and then it gets hooked up to the city utilities. So, I mean, it's just like
Yeah, I
a
get
house
it.
with a slab sitting there that has to be
I just
inspected.
feel like, I know that there's already some of those storage buildings already set in town.
And that's something that we can ask the attorney too, is for existing, you know, if something's in violation of these codes that exists, then what are our options there as well?
Because they shouldn't just be grandfathered in on
Right, so
something like that.
there shouldn't be a grandfather, but they should have a time period that they bring it up to spec, and that's what we need to ask the attorney. Okay, the last item on the agenda is the community building windows. Do we need to discuss that one further?
I think we
I think
need to
we've already
look at
got
them.
it.
Okay, and if nobody has any questions about the windows, has anybody signed up for public comment?
I don't think so.
No? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we dismiss?
Dorian is making a motion that we dismiss.
I will second it.
Bobby has seconded that motion. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. We are adjourned at 7:13 p.m.
No, that's okay. You've been running all day. I like our ibuprofen
Not yet.
or something.
I like this, and it needs to be added to everybody's application. Everyone needs to be working that hours.
We started our yard sale today, we got 100 cars, and 90% of them are granted.
Did you sell my stuff I wanted on that table? I know. I did like the fryer. Did you sell it?
And stopped. They said they'd stop. I think they said they'd stop taking down, and they stopped the yard sale.
All right. See, we're becoming like the O Show.
Hey, if any of you guys have suggestions for the
I think it will. I think it's double the one we have.
suggestions for the fencing, just send it to me. Just send me.
There's some big bowls, and then somebody had commented about the white ones with the blue flowers on it. Did those already sell? Yeah.
That might be something we put a 6
Testing, 1, 2.